Why are you looking at them fusions like that? Because they look good. That's why I'm looking at them. But Ryu, they've long been surpassed. Do I look like I give a fuck? Do I look like I give a fuck? Power levels ain't nothing but a number. You're going to learn that when you get older. Plus, I'm just scaling. That's besides the point, long stakes. You're going to be looking at those fusions like you're going to be looking at my video when you get debunked. Shut the hell up, Zeta. You know what you're talking about. Plus, I'm looking at him over there, not some other fusion. Yeah. Manga Vegito? That shit not even Beerus level. He's a perfect Super Saiyan Blue Goku. I'm not talking about him. Him right there. Oh, Z Vegito. That's right. Isn't he Spirit Bomb Goku level? Shut the hell up, Zeta. He's not that weak. Fuck you talking about. He's just an OP fusion and I want to scale it. That's what I want to do. Yeah, before you do that, make sure you don't touch tips with him. Get that. Yo, what's good with y'all? It's your boy Zeta, and today is a very special video because Saiyan Scholar has recently returned to YouTube after his Patreon members saved him from the upcoming YouTube crisis with the finances and stuff like that. So as a way to celebrate, I will be debunking Super Saiyan Ryu, or just SSJ Ryu's video on Super Vegito versus Super Saiyan 4 Goku, because Saiyan Scholar did not actually address the part 2 of the video, so I will do it for him in a vengeance to him. So I will do this for you. You're one of my favorite YouTubers, and anyway, let's get on with the video.
Before we move forward, we'll need to talk about the scan, which I maintain is most likely comparing Dragon Ball Z Vegito to Super Saiyan 4 Goku from the baby arc, as only one Vegito ever existed at the time it was written, and Goku was the only Super Saiyan 4 that existed during the baby arc, which was when the guy was written. Therefore, there's no need to specify it was Goku.
That still presupposes the interpretation that it's referring to characters and not inherently forms. Also, there is more than one Super Saiyan 4 before Vegeta even came in, and it was Yamoshi, as Super Saiyan 4 is confirmed to be the same form of the legendary Super Saiyan. So, yeah, nice try, buddy. That shit did not work at all.
Of Kid Buu when Goku fought him in the 28th World Martial Arts Tournament at the end of Z, that's complete speculation and never stated or implied. Simply saying Oob is who he expected to fight, or that they were interested in fighting him, does not equate to Oob being Kid Buu level. Goku simply expected to fight Kid Buu's reincarnation. It's never said he expected Oob to be at the level of Kid Buu in that first fight. So we can strike Saiyan Scholar's 400 times multiplier from that and throw it out the window. He may have the potential to become as strong as Kid Buu, but nothing concretely proves he had reached that level at that point.
Yes, he did. Goku is confirmed to be the #1 strongest fighter in the mind of Toriyama, which would include any character, like, ever in Dragon Ball Z. So yeah, End of Z Goku is #1, making him beyond the pure form of Buu, which is basically Kid Buu. And also, if you really want to get into the whole advanced way of proving Oob is beyond Kid Buu, just prove Battle of Gods is canon to GT. Like, brother, I made a whole video about it.
Then we move on to Oob at the beginning of GT being 200 times End of Z Goku level. This again is never stated and very speculative.
Okay, so this just proves that Ryu didn't watch GT because it's implied that both Goku and Oob fought all out, and Oob and Goku were pretty much knocked out at the same time, so there is very much relativity between the two fighters. And since it says that Goku went all out, it would imply that Goku used his max or strongest form against Oob, which would be Super Saiyan 3, and if you want to add the additional canon, Super Saiyan Blue. Now, for anyone that says, oh, but it's in reference to base Goku versus Oob. Okay, well, this argument is straight up wrong, because the reason why people say this is because we literally saw the climax of the fight when episode 1 began. They were already fighting before the episode even started. So we just saw the climax of that fight. The rest of the stuff that we did not see was Goku, in fact, using his other forms against Oob, since it's implied that he went all out. So yeah, this is just a blatant argument from silence fallacy right here.
We don't know Goku and Oob's level at this point from the interaction alone. Saiyan state. This form of Vegeta is able to defeat Super Saiyan 3 Goku upon his return without much difficulty.
Not really. This text would kind of just imply that Super Saiyan and Super Baby 1 is just a very similar appearing form. Like, you could make this same interpretation about Super Saiyan Blue, and it would still mean the same thing by what you just argued. So, no, not really. They're just similar in appearance. It doesn't equate to anything.
It allowed him to ascend to a Super Saiyan 2-like state, and then a Super Saiyan 3-like state. So saying a 2 times multiplier for Super Baby 1 and a 4 times multiplier for Super Baby 2 is reasonable and backed up by the official multipliers for the forms that are said to be very similar according to the GT Perfect 5.
That's not necessarily true either, because Baby confirmed that he has obtained the greatest of Saiyan power. And the thing is, right, Saiyan power is referring to past users or just other Saiyans in general, and can also be referring to the power boosts made by, you know, Saiyan transformations or Saiyan-based, like, things, right? So that would just suggest the idea that Super Baby is on a level that is far beyond the other Super Saiyan forms.
Death Ball's impact hitting Capito Kai mid-teleport is an arguable infinite speed feat for sure. This would apply to the impact of the attack, since the teleportation is supposed to be instantaneous, yet it caught him. However, base GT Goku reacts to the Death Ball, and even Capito Kai is able to intercept the attack as it goes towards Goku, grab Goku, and teleport away. So if it scales to the attack itself, it scales even to base GT Goku and Capito Kai, which means it pretty much scales to everybody relevant in the Buu saga of the DBZ anime, given Capito Kai is not even as strong as the weakest Buu. Is often interpreted as another space-time, and being between space and time is not proof of higher dimensional power in the least. It just means you are between two different space-times unless more concrete proof exists to prove it is actually transcendent to space and time.
This nigga is trash!
Well, given the other space-times in Dragon Ball, which are stated to be infinite multiple times over and over again, it would suggest a higher dimensionality because you cannot be in between two infinities unless you exist as a higher space outside of those infinities. So yes, this would actually quantify for higher dimensional scaling at bare minimum. So this is just Ryu being completely ignorant here and not understanding the Dragon Ball cosmology.
Vegito is the most powerful character in the Buu saga, as confirmed by multiple guides who say things like, he's the greatest master in the universe upon fusing. His strength is even greater than Super Saiyan 3's, a statement which is implied before transforming even. Goes on to say, after that comparison, that he's further capable of transforming from his normal state into a Super Saiyan. And the fact is made very clear that Vegito could have killed Buuhan at any time, even in base form, and was holding back the entire time, never taking visible damage or becoming fatigued, even when he was allowing Buuhan to wail on him in base form. You can't even compare Vegito to somebody like Kefla, since
is this nigga serious?
So what Ryu chooses to ignore is the fact that Buuhan got stronger as the fight went on, and when he used his Vaishao, he was making Vegito struggle and forcing him to use effort to make sure that the universe wasn't going to get destroyed. And this was happening incredibly quickly. Vegito was straight up worried. So he was trying to use his full power or effort to try and beat, he was trying to beat Buuhan. And the thing is, all the statements about Vegito holding back are still valid because you yourself in this same video also agree that Vegito can have Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3 in his arsenal. So yes, he's still holding back technically, but he was actually going a full power Super Saiyan when in his fight against Buuhan because of the Vaishao. So nobody's actually wrong here.
if we wanted to have a laugh and go the route of a speculative Saiyan multiplier like my man Saiyan Scholar, then I would say this about Vegito. We can apply the fact that Cell was stated to have an infinite battle power in the title of episode 160, an infinite battle power, the birth of a god of destruction named Cell, which is unironically backed up by statements that he has infinite, bottomless, and endless power multiple times, as well as ones that he can shape the universe and destroy the universe, and give Goku and Vegeta an infinite battle power even in base form, and thus that makes Vegito's multiplier infinite. This trumps any multiplier you could reasonably come up with for anybody in GT straight up.
Nigga, did I just catch you having fun?
So this is blatantly false because Goku says that in order for him to defeat Baby, he needs this body and this power. So he's specifically stating that he specifically needs Super Saiyan 4 to beat Baby. Now, why is this important? Because Goku actually saw the performance of Maju before he got turned into chocolate by Baby. But why is this also important? Because the thing is, a hypothetical fusion between Goku and Majub is still a valid thing. It's still a valid assumption or whatever and whatnot. So if Majub and Goku were to fuse, that still doesn't qualify because he says that specifically he needs this power to beat Baby. And we already know that Goku and Moob far surpass Goku and Vegeta all the way from the Buu saga.
As far as GT being canon and not a side story, that contradicts Akira Toriyama's own statement where he calls it a grand side story. Furthermore, it's clear that Dragon Ball Super is Akira Toriyama's official continuation to Dragon Ball Z, whether it came out after GT or not. It literally
What is this feeling? It feels like I'm in 2021 when I wasn't an unk. Oh, freedom!
So what Ryu doesn't understand here is that he's presupposing a side story must mean it's a deviation of continuity when that's his burden to prove so. In fact, there are multiple definitions of side story, and one of them is that a side story, or aka a subplot, is a supporting strand of the main plot. So basically saying, right, like there are multiple different interpretations and definitions of side story. You would need to prove that your interpretation is in fact the correct interpretation for what a side story means in this context. And as you've shown in this video, you have not done that. So we can dismiss that via Hitchens razor. And another thing I want to point out is that most of the statements that the official sources have made about GT and where it is in continuity have supported it being a continuation of the DBZ anime itself, with Toei Animation blatantly saying that it's an expansion or it's the expansion of Dragon Ball Z, the anime. And oh my god, this argument is so trash.
Another point is that Saiyan Scholar talks about linking the movies to GT. This is speculation at best, since Akira Toriyama has explicitly stated the movies are in different dimensions, and most don't.
Wow, very cool, Ryu. No one actually cares about this statement because it's talking about it being disconnected from the manga, which GT is also disconnected from the manga. So like, why does that mean anything? Like, sure, man, like it's not part of the manga, but that doesn't mean it can't be part of the anime. So this argument is just another argument from silence because it never says it can be disconnected from the anime. It's just for the manga, and we already know that the anime has its own expanded stories like PyCon and other content. So why can't the movies be an appliance to that?
We see some characters like Cooler and Bojack, but you can just as easily argue that they're different versions from the GT timeline.
Actually, you can argue against that using Occam's razor because it would be a more logical hypothesis that they are in fact the same movie versions rather than some alternate replica that just happens to look very similar. And if you watch my GT canon video, you should understand the consistency behind why it would be the movie versions, like really consistent, like especially with Fusion Reborn. So yeah, it would be a more simpler hypothesis to say that they are the movie versions. Like that just seems like a really big stupid coincidence.
Kind of like how Goku in the movies is different from Goku in the Dragon Ball Z anime, as the events differ, such as Goku being dead in Fusion Reborn, but alive after the Buu saga.
Oh, but Zeta, there's too many plot holes and inconsistencies in the movies compared to the anime. Bro, that's literally a Nirvana fallacy. Just because there's bad writing in the movies does not defeat the intent that they were made to be canon. And the funny thing about this is that these whole inconsistencies and that kind of stuff don't even contradict the laws of logic. Like, it's just straight bad writing, even though it has no explanation and whatnot. So if Goku's dead in one movie but is, like, alive in the anime, like, that doesn't even mean anything. Like, that's just really shitty writing. But because there are a lot of bad writing elements within the movies, that doesn't mean that the fans magically get to determine the continuity, or you in any way whatsoever. If they are made to be with the consideration to be canon inside that continuity, then it is no matter what you say. I've been saying this forever now in my past videos, but it looks like people will never learn from this until it's pushed enough.
Cannot prove Goku can destroy other worlds as an entire structure. The original Japanese only shows him shake Hal in a check-in station. Also, Hell being multiple space-times is never stated or shown in GT or the Z anime. Simply having different areas did not automatically make it have multiple space-times, so Goku's feat of shaking Hell is in no way low multiversal in power or range.
I think this one image I'm showing on screen should explain enough how I get GT characters from Macrocosmic. I've explained it in like, what, 5 videos at this point? I'm not gonna do it again. Just watch my video about how Dragon Ball Z was already broken before Dragon Ball Super came out, bro. It's pretty easy. And I don't have to argue that the movies are canon to get GT Goku to these levels, because since Vegito is stronger than Gogeta, he would scale off of these movie feats that Janemba had because, well, he beat the shit out of Janemba and Vegito's stronger than Gogeta. And I find it really funny on how much you hold guidebook statements to your life, so I'll just bring up my own. It's literally confirmed by V-Jump that Super Saiyan 4 has the strongest body in history, which would include Vegito and what his full power is. So yeah, that's pretty crazy to notice. This might be some crazy cherry picking, because I know you also use V-Jump to get Vegito above Manga Beerus. Yeah, pretty absurd if you ask me, but that's not the topic for this video.
One other thing I need to address is the idea that Vegito had to try hard against Buuhan at any point. This is simply never stated.
This is an argument from Silence Fallacy. Yeah, it's never explicitly stated, but it's literally implied and shown through feats, because when Buuhan was going to use the Vice Shout to destroy the universe, Vegito was like having dialogue of him being visibly worried and struggling to break through Buuhan's Vice Shout. So yeah, that's a pretty stupid argument to say that just because it's never stated must mean it's not true. Like that's literally stupid as hell.
And contradicted multiple times by the fact it's stated, Vegito never used his full power, and could have defeated Buuhan at any time, even in base form as I established before.
Okay, so what you're not understanding is that there can be layers to full power. Like, I can go at my absolute max, but in my base form. That is a literal concept in Dragon Ball. So this is just you ignoring the evidence that exists. And here's the problem with this argument as well. Because the thing is, the narrator and other sources imply that Buuhan is going to be on, like, Super Vegito's level and other crap like that. So, like, that's just, like, no one's denying that, bro. It's just that you're denying the feats. And also denying the dialogue Vegito says himself about him being worried about the universe being destroyed. So he was going into full pursuit here.
The argument that enraged Buuhan looked like he made Vegito try, so Vegito had to have used his full power is like saying Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta had to have used his full power to stop Omega Shenron because he flared his aura and yelled while kicking away the minus power energy ball, even though we know it's stated that he could have defeated Omega Shenron with one finger in the perfect fights.
You finally made it, little nigga. You was broke the last time I ran down on you.
Okay, this is actually a false equivalence fallacy, because the difference between Vegito and the difference between Gogeta are very different. Like, they are in no way similar whatsoever. The fight between Vegito was actually using a Super Saiyan full power state, because literally before he jumps in to punch Buuhan and struggle, he's literally saying that the universe will just be annihilated if Vegito doesn't do anything. And Vegito's worrying and desperation, like, the intent was for him to make sure that Buuhan doesn't destroy the universe. Obviously, he would be trying his effort to try to stop Buuhan in this scenario, so why would he necessarily be holding back here when the narrative intent blatantly contradicts that?
People trying to say that Vegito said he might have gotten a bruise or a scratch from Buuhan's energy blasts as proof that Buuhan is comparable to him. This is clearly Vegito taunting him in that interaction, and in no way does that make Buuhan remotely close to Super Saiyan Vegito. Whether or not Kid Buu is above Buuhan is irrelevant, since Vegito is vastly superior to Buuhan even in base form.
Okay, so is Kid Buu. He's implied to be on a whole different level from all the other Boos until now, and Funimation literally confirms that he got stronger. This one scan alone ends entire Buuhan versus Kid Buu debates. They literally just said that he just got stronger than Buuhan, bro. I cannot believe this. We're still having this debate in the big 2020s at this point, bro. I'm done.
It can only be safely applied to existing Saiyans, as it refers to the current tense for being the greatest of Saiyan power. You can't assume that he's stronger than a hypothetical fusion, or a fusion that hasn't existed for years like Vegito based on that. Like Goku is again not concrete proof of Baby surpassing Vegito. He only says Baby is the most awesome ki he has felt. The key word here is felt. It's completely irrelevant to the quote if he had an estimation of a ki. What only matters is ki that he has explicitly felt. The fact of the matter is, Vegito never used his full power and outright states he was holding back the entire fight against Buuhan.
Okay, why does that matter? Goku literally knows what his hidden power is before even transforming, as well as other characters having those same traits. So, obviously, Goku and Vegeta would know the full power of Vegito if it's been consistent that they can feel hidden power. And to support my point even more, Goku says that Vegito would be enough to beat Kid Buu. But how would he know that if the only things that Vegito did were not even sufficient enough to kill enraged Buuhan? So they wouldn't even be enough to kill Kid Buu, which would mean that he actually does know the hidden power of Vegito. And earlier in the video, I already proved that Kid Buu is far above Buuhan. And even if we appeal to your stupid logic about how Goku does not remember or know of Vegito's full power, That doesn't mean anything at all because Goku has felt the power of the Spirit Bomb, which was stated to be the maximum level of power in Dragon Ball Z, which is above whatever Vegito's full power is. So if you want to use your definition, if we want to use your definition, sure, buddy, that does not change anything whatsoever.
Power, and that he can make a fool out of Buuhan, further showing he has not felt and is unsure of his upper limits. Thus, Goku has never actually felt a serious or full power Vegito, and therefore it would not make sense to assume his statement encompasses a hypothetical full power Vegito any more than a hypothetical Super Saiyan 2 or Super Saiyan 3 Vegito, or even a GT Vegito, for example, as he has never felt any of those, and they have never existed for him to feel.
This statement is completely taken out of context if you actually read it properly. He says that to make a fool out of you this big, I'm actually surprised myself. This is just him talking about how he's surprised of the effects of his power. Like, let me give you a good analogy. So before the Japanese got hit by the nuclear bomb, they did testing of the nuclear bomb and stuff. Like they tested the nuke, and it was a pretty powerful thing. Right? But even after the bombing of Japan, they were surprised of its effects. So just because he's surprised of his effects does not mean that he does not know his full power. You can still be surprised of the effects of someone's power, even if they're holding back or not. Like that wouldn't necessarily be a mutual exclusion. Like, yeah, so in conclusion, Super Saiyan 4 is incredibly downplayed and we need to stop believing this stupid agenda that he's below Vegito. Anyway, that's all I got for this video. See ya.
In one game, man. One game! Get some of the I was how you we can some really kind of bring back some in this me and like a man by some like I'm saying first of all, I'm welcome on for you all. Alright, stream. I'm for sure. I think that was